welcome to my channel Diamonds and Sparkles. My name is Lena, and in this video I want to show you how to section up your canvas. This was a very interesting topic for me right when I started because I didn't really know how to section off the canvas. The very first canvas that I did was a budget one that was very small, you know, compared to the ones that I do right now. And I didn't really know exactly how to do it. I kind of just went through trial and error, and with time I've learned different ways to section off the canvas. At the moment I am sectioning off my canvases with washi tape, but this is a very new discovered thing for me. I mean, not discovered, but implemented thing for me, because before that I used exclusively like release papers, and of course there's nothing wrong with that, but I learned that I actually like more sectioning off with washi tape instead of with release papers. So in this video I'm going to go through both of those options to section off your canvas. Now in the very first part of it, we're going to need only some washi tape. The washi tape that you use, it really doesn't matter as long as you know you want to use it. You can use, I usually use the one that comes with the canvas. I don't have a big collection of washi tapes, to be honest. I understand that, you know, collecting washi tape is a very a very known thing, but I don't collect them. I actually just bought a packet of like 18, I want to say, maybe, from Temu that are really cute. But other than that, I don't really use, I mean, I don't have a big collection of washi tape. So I'm going to be using the one that comes with this canvas. This particular canvas came with this washi tape, but if it doesn't come with your canvas in particular, you can use any washi tape that you want. You can even use those type of tapes that are for, you know, painting walls or do other type of crafts. I'm going to try to insert a picture over here. And the point of using the washi tape is to make sections in your diamond painting. You know, you don't want to lift all of this paper out. Maybe you want, and that's fine if that's what you want, but in order to make it more bearable and less overwhelming, and you know, just so you don't peel the entire thing off and leave the sticky thing out in the air just to, you know, collect dust and pet hair if you have pets or whatever, I prefer right now to just section it off, and I'm going to show you how, at least how I do it. So the very first thing that you want to do is to decide where you want to start. If you want to start at the top or if you want to start at the bottom. And, you know, if you want to start maybe sideways or something, it doesn't matter. Just decide where you want to start. This is very personal. This is personal preference. I, for some reason, like to start from the bottom. I usually start from the bottom left. I don't really know why. I just kind of do. So, you know, this is, again, personal preference. It's going to depend on what section you want to do first, or how to position your canvas that makes it easier for you. So yeah, deciding that I'm going to start in this bottom part, the next thing you want to do is to say, okay, you want to work in vertical lines from here up, you know, or from up down, or if you want to work horizontally. I usually work horizontally because I like to finish this row and then move it down and, you know, keep going up and up and up. And the very next thing is to decide what is the size that you want to work with. Usually I like to work with bigger sections. I used to work on sections that were as big as the release papers from Diamond Art Club, the ones that are big, the ones that are like 14 centimeters by 20 centimeters. This is going to depend completely on your, you know, on what you prefer to do. I am usually comfortable doing 10 by 10 or even bigger ones. Specifically in this kit, I can see myself working in pretty big sections because it has a lot of color blocking. Color blocking are all of these areas that have one single color in one place and that there are not many changes. Now, deciding that, I know that I want to be working on sections that are quite big, at least in this bottom part. Again, that it's going to depend. You can work on 5 by 5 sections if you just have a very short amount of time to work during the day, or if you're like me that you can spend over 2-3 hours at a time. You can choose bigger sections, or you know, that's totally up to you. I do not measure usually with a ruler or anything, but if you are more of a person who needs a bit of a structure, I've seen people who actually measure the entire thing, like how much is from bottom to top and then side to side, which is usually the measurements that come down here in the canvas. And then they say like, okay, I want to work on this for this amount of days, and you know, dividing that, and all very messy. But I don't work like that. I just eyeball it pretty much. So what you want to do is I don't like to section my canvas in its entirety, because when you're shuffling, or if you're working on several whips at the time and putting them away and putting them back in, the washi tape can get off, and then it starts to roll and collect dust and all of that, and I really don't like that. So I usually work on, you know, just the section. I choose the row that I want to work on, and I just decide the height of it. And knowing the height of it, then I decide to section it off, and I do it this way. So, oh, it's too far away. For example, I want to work in a section that is going to be this big. I'm going to grab my tape, and where I have the section I want to work until this side. So I need to place my tape on top of this line. Usually the diamond paintings come with a grid, and you can see very clearly if you get close enough, because it's a very faint drill most of the times. So if I say that I want to work from here down, I want to be placing my washi tape on top of where I decided to start. I usually start just with a very small thingy, because I want it to be straight. Even though I am not very like strict about the size, I do want it to be as straight as possible. So I'm gonna be placing my tape here. I'm sorry about the glare, but okay, so I'm going to be placing my tape here. And specifically for me, I like my tape to go a little bit over the plastic. If you can see, the plastic ends about here, but if I leave the tape only on top of the plastic, sometimes the tape is not very sticky and it gets off quite easily. So I like to put the tape a little bit over the plastic and a little bit into this white part of the canvas, so it has something to kind of anchor itself to. And then after this, I don't like to just roll out entirely and put the tape on the other side. I usually just do it little by little to make sure that it's not crooked and to make sure that I'm going in a straight line. So I just pull out a little bit of the tape, and little by little just tape down exactly to where I want it to be. Let's move a little bit more. So doing this slowly is assuring me that the tape is straight and that I'm not going like this. I mean, this is exaggerated, but that I'm not going sideways. And that's it. Okay, and now we get to the last part. And again, I want to place my tape a little bit over the plastic and into the canvas for it to anchor itself. I'm gonna be cutting it just with a cutter. You can cut it with scissors or with whatever, but I just like doing it like this. And there you go. You have your first big section that is going to be the first row of your canvas. Now, here, I usually don't do all the lines at once. I leave it like this until I want to work on it. Why? Because as I said, I usually do have the time to work 2-3 hours at a time, just straight from beginning to end, and don't have many distractions. So I don't really have a problem with, you know, working with big sections or knowing that I'm going to get interrupted. But I understand that, you know, people who have kids or who have other responsibilities or stuff, you can just have maybe, I don't know, let's say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and you don't want to leave a big section. So what I do is, whenever I am about to start working, I say, okay, I don't have much time. I have probably like half an hour. So I'm just going to be sectioning off a very small part. Let's say that today I just have half an hour on that particular session that I can work on my diamond painting. So the next thing that I want to do is say, okay, I just want to work, you know, in this tiny section. What I will do next is, if I want to work on this section from here all the way, you know, this section, I grab again my washi tape, and I usually just do the same that I did this way. I do it vertically. I place my tape roughly where I want to work on. Like, let's say that here's a section that I want to do. So I put my washi here. I try to do it more at the bottom. I put my washi here, and I make sure that some of the tape is touching the canvas again, because I wanted to hold on to something, and then just drag my tape up until I reach an intersection with the tape at the top, and I cut. After I do that, I think this is too long, a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut a little bit here. And now that I have this section prepared like this, what I'm going to do is just grab my cutter, and just having this tape immediately next to my tape, I'm going to be cutting with these cutter. And reminder, these type of tools are very, very sharp, and this paper is very, very thin. So usually you do not have to press very strongly. I've seen people who press very, very hardly and they go all the way through the canvas. That has only happened to me once in a very like small section. It was like a two drill size, so it was not a big deal, but I've seen people like cut a big chunk of it. What you want to do now is go to your plastic, right next to your tape and cut. Again, you just have to do it very, very slightly. There is no need to go or to press really hard at all. You can do it very gently if you feel better doing that. There we go. So now you just grab your plastic, pull it up, and it's already cut. And you have this little piece of tape protecting the rest of the plastic that goes upwards, and it just holds itself there. And you can just, you know, leave it like that, but I usually just cut through the other side, which is this one, just as I did with this side. So we'll remove it, and there we have it. We have an entire section that we're going to be working on. Now, you can just decide to leave this paper hanging in there because maybe you say, oh, you know what, after all, I don't have that much time to work on it and I want to cover it up. That's perfectly fine. But what I do in those cases is I throw the plastic away, and I still have my release papers. So if I don't finish a section and have to go somewhere, I just cover it with a release paper, and that's it. Now, I would work on this section, and that's just the way I would do it. Now, what happens if you want to section your entire thing and you say, you know what, I know that I'm going to be able to work on this for the entire day, or I want to section the entire thing? Totally fine. You just can choose the size of sections that you want to work with. Again, you can do it with measurements or without measurements. I do it without measurements. I just eyeball it and see, okay, I would like to work on this size of a section. For example, this I just did for a demonstration, but I am well aware sure that I want to be working on a section that goes right up where the shoe starts. So I want to work from here to the end. So what I would do, and I'm going to set up a different example. Let's say that I already worked on this. You don't have to be cutting up washi tape every time that you move along. You can do it if that's what you want, but my brain is this type of brain where I don't want to waste things, even though this is enough washi tape, or even if I just bought more washi tape and I know that I'm going to have more washi tape and I have a few rolls of washi tape lying around, I don't want to waste it. That's just how my brain works. So what I do is whenever I finish this section, since I don't section the entire thing off, I just peel this part and move along to the next part. And I use the exact same tape. You can use other tape. You can, as I said, pre-section all your first row. You can pre-section the entirety of the canvas, and that is totally up to you. But as I said, the very first section that I'm going to be working on, it's going to be in the shoe, from the shoe to this side. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to place it right where the shoe is, and a little more down so it grabs the canvas. So there's the side, this side down, and that's it. So what I'm going to be doing now is just grab my cutter and cut right along the entire edge. Why did I say H? Edge. The entire edge out of my washi tape. I do this very, very slowly because I want to go into a straight line, and I don't want to puncture the canvas, and I don't want to crack the paper. Now let's do the top part. So it's about, where did it finish? Now, this is the reason why I like to use this tape, because even if, you know, here we have glue and here we have plastic, sometimes maybe you can see some reflection, but if you don't, while you're at it, the stickiness, the poured glue on the canvas, it's so shiny when you just uncovered it that it's really hard to see where the glue ends and the paper starts. So this washi tape helps you to know where to start, and nothing will happen if you place your drills on a place, you know, they're just not going to stick, so you're going to know it's plastic. But, you know, if you don't want that, that's just a simple way to fix it, even though it's not really a problem, but okay. So I went all through here. Now I want to go, where did it end? Like, I am so confused. Oh, here. I mean, now I'm going to go all the way across it, as I said, very slowly. And there, sometimes I will be cutting a little bit of the washi tape, but that's fine. And hoping that I cut also through the plastic and not just that little thing of the washi tape, I'm gonna lift my plastic up, and that's it. It went out. So now I have all of this section ready to work in. As I said, I work in pretty big sections. You can section it off as big or as little as you want. That is completely of personal preference, and everything is okay and everything is fine. And as I said, if I'm not going to be working on this right away, or if I have just some drills placed here and there and I have to get busy for some reason, I just grab a release paper. I have the ones from Diamond Art Club, but you can get them from anywhere, and I just place it right on top. I grab just a regular black thing just to do this, because I don't like bubbles and I like to stick right where it is, and that's just, my glue is protected and everything is perfectly fine. Now let's move over to how I section off with only release papers. Okay, I just turned my canvas upside down. I'm using the same canvas, and I'm going to show you how I used to section my canvas with release paper. That is something that I no longer do, at least not as often, only sometimes. I primarily use my release paper, as I showed you in the previous clip, where I put it over a section that maybe is not finished or something like that, just to protect it. But the way I would section out my canvas with release paper would be as follows. I use the release paper from Diamond Art Club because I just added it to an order one day, and it comes with a ton of, like, this is all my reused ones. I have still a ton that I have not yet used. This is the size that I got. I don't know if this size is still available, but I think it is 14 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Now, I like to work on this size of space sometimes, but not all the time. So something that I would do, if you know, when I wanted to work on smaller sections, was just to cut them. And I cut them in various sizes. This is like the regular big one. I cut them in half, and then in half, but you know, to the other direction. And then I even cut them in these little teeny tiny strips. So what I would do would be, I would just lift all of this plastic off, like a big chunk of it, and say, you know what, the sections that I want to work with are about this size. I would just grab my release paper and place it exactly where I wanted my section to be. So I said, okay, I want to work like around here. So I would section it and I would line it up with just where I wanted it to end or to start. But instead of putting the paper in this side, I would put paper around the place where I wanted to place my drills. So I would do this. If this was like roughly the space that I wanted to work with, I would just put it like on top, just like that, not doing much of it. And then after that, I would grab these ones that are slimmer, and sometimes even these ones that are even smaller and slimmer, and I would place it, you know, around where I wanted it to be, and I would just press down. And now I would lift this, and after putting that, I would just keep putting release papers, like a little strip down here. So I would do this, and then I would do this. I would overlap them a little bit because I always liked to have like a little space just to, you know, to lift open, to be able to lift open like this. But I didn't put this very straight, so I'm going to, and again, this is not cut very straight, so I had to fumble a little bit with these. So I would do that, and then I would just look into my other release papers that are kind of like a strip and keep putting them in a line like this. Now, this is how I personally would do it. I'm not saying that this is the correct way or anything. This is just how I would do it. And just when I got to the very last place, you know, again, they would overlap, they would overlap, and I wouldn't care. After that, I would cover all of this entire section that I was not immediately working on, and I would grab my release paper. I would line it up where I wanted to start my section, which would be, let's say, this very dark pink. I would line it up there, let's say there, and I would just, again, grab, I would just do this, and then I would just place release papers in this section that doesn't have, you know, something covering it. I'm just grabbing big ones. Where are the small ones? Great. I would just do this, and I would really not mind exactly where I put them or anything, because I really didn't care. Now, and that's just how I would do it. And I would start working on this section, and then and I would just do that. After putting all of this down, this plastic, you know, I would grab something like a ruler or just a regular card, and I would put the plastic down. I do it with this. You can do it just with your hand, but I don't like bubbles, so I would do it with a card. And I would just stick it back in like that. And, you know, now what I would do is all of this section that is with release paper, you know, the plastic cover is not adhering to it anymore because there's no stickiness under it. I would grab a pair of scissors, and I would cut all the way. I would cut all the way where this is. So I would cut this long strip of plastic, and of course this would be uncovered because this is the section that I would work on, and this one, all this part would be uncovered also because it doesn't matter, it already has release paper. Now, why I don't use that method anymore, and again, that is totally and completely personal preference. Basically because I find it to be more of a hassle on my last diamond painting that I started, I have not finished it, but that I started, it was the very first time that I used just washi tape and, you know, the plastic instead of the release papers. And it was so much easier in my opinion. Usually what I would do, or what would happen, is that like this, some of the papers would overlap, but they would overlap in bigger sections. So as I would be moving them or working on them, they would start just to like fold into themselves, and a part would become like unstuck, and then the stickiness would be out and about, and it would gather dust and all of that. And I realized like I didn't like that, and I prefer to just see the progress section by section, and not cover it all with release paper. Because something that I did also a few times was to just take all of the plastic away and cover it entirely with release paper, but I realized that I didn't really like that. I still use release papers, but I usually do it with budget canvases where I, you know, one, they're smaller, so I don't have to use that many release papers, and I just use like 4 of these and put one in each quadrant, and I just start moving them. But they're so much easier to maneuver because they're usually like 30 by 30 or 30 by 40. So in those cases, I would still use release paper. But at the moment, I think I'm getting, I'm sticking with just the washi tape and, you know, the plastic that comes with a kit. Now, I don't want to come out as demonizing release paper or anything. I know that there are so many options of release paper. Some of the release papers are very like colorful, or there are new ones that have some designs or stuff like that. And if that's what you like doing, that's absolutely fine. These are just 2 of the ways that I know of for sectioning up your canvas. You might use something entirely different, and again, that is absolutely and completely fine as long as it works for you. And so that is the way I personally use washi tape to section up my canvases, and what I used to do to section up my canvases with release paper. Again, everything, all of this is just, you know, ideas of how you can do it and what types of things you can try to see what you like best. And at the end of the day, this is our hobby, and we can decide how we do it, and there's no right way or wrong way. There's only your way and what works best for you. If, you know, washi tape works best, amazing. If release paper works best, amazing. If you have any other way, or if you combine both of them like I do, that is also perfect. The point of this thing is just to enjoy yourself and have a relaxing craft that, you know, that you love and enjoy doing, and the community of it all, because that is a very important thing for me as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you are new to the craft or just curious, that you find these little tips that I do a little bit helpful. And again, thank you so much for watching, and see you in a later video. Goodbye.